Now I have to say, this episode of Love is Like After the Rain might be my favorite episode out of the 5 so far. It had a surprising amount of comedy that was genuinely funny to me. I laughed quite a bit throughout this episode, but actually had a lot of heartwarming moments that really just show you how much our main character truly loves the manager. My favorite moment in the entire episode comes right off the bat here. It's within like the first few minutes of this episode where essentially our main character is walking home the manager's son because ultimately he found a hamster and he wants to go show his dad, but really he just wants to pawn the hamster off on his dad. But she starts basically fixing the shoes in front of the door because he just kind of kicks his shoes off, and then she rearranges the kid's shoes and then her shoes next to the manager's shoes. And there's this moment, there's no voice acting, you just see this almost like this little bit of a blush, but she is just very happy because this is ultimately what she wants. She wants to be able to come home with the manager and have that family life. And I love how there was no voice acting, it was very subtle, but it was just to showcase this is exactly what she wants. She doesn't just want to be with the manager physically, but also emotionally and be able to live with him and just have everything that a normal person would have in a relationship. And I just thought it was so sweet and subtle, and it just was beautiful overall. And I think many people are going to ignore that because it is such a small moment, but it really does showcase how much she truly does care for the manager, and I thought it was just adorable overall. But the episode's comedy was actually one of the most surprising aspects because I have found the show funny at times, but for the amount of comedy in this episode, I was actually impressed by how much of it actually made me laugh. Obviously there was some jokes that just was like, yeah, okay, it's whatever. But I think just the overall idea of basically the manager trying so hard to get the attention of his employees. I mean, we even learned that he has books to basically teach him how to be a good boss, and all he needed to do was have his son bring in a hamster to work to have them all basically just fawn over his new life and his new pet. And I just love how our main character comes in to burst his bubble, because if anyone's going to get attention and affection from the manager, it's only going to be her. It was just very adorable. Like, for the amount of comedy that's in this episode, I'm surprised it actually did a lot for just more or less fleshing out a bit more of how she was feeling for the manager, and also the manager understanding that this date wasn't a one-time thing, she's sticking around for the long run. It was just a nice balanced episode. Like, there was a lot of heartwarming moments. The moments like where she was trying to hide in his closet because she was embarrassed, she didn't want him to see her in his home, and basically her just kind of like listening into the conversation between him and his son, and then ultimately she's like, oh, he's gonna eat my food, I'm so happy. Oh, it's a little salty. It's kind of like the stab in the arm for her. Like, I'm actually surprised they went that route, but at the same time I'm not, because a lot of anime would have went the route of like, oh, he loves the food and that's gonna make her happy and that's gonna be a bonding moment. No, he doesn't like it and he would rather his fast food. It's just so perfect. Like, I love how natural this relationship is starting to feel, even though they're trying to push it away so hard. Because even though there is that age gap, you can tell there's so many similarities between the two characters. And if they gave it a true shot, I think it actually would work out quite well. It's just a heartwarming series, and I think the art and animation really sell it a lot. Like, I mean, there's incredible OST tracks spread throughout these episodes, but it's when it kind of goes into that more like almost fairy tale design where the colors go very vibrant and it just really lights up the screen. Those moments just get the butterflies going, in my opinion, and it's just very heartwarming to watch. I think the character interactions are very well done. I really enjoy how the restaurant is being implemented so far. I don't feel like it's overused to the point that it's just watching them work at the restaurant. Granted, that would be a fine show, but to me, what the heart and soul of the show is the manager and our main character, and ultimately, will they, won't they become a couple? And I like the fact that the restaurant is just kind of a side element, that they do work there and they do have some fun moments, maybe some more serious moments, but at the core, it's their relationship and ultimately how that's unfolding. So I like the fact that the relationship isn't being just kind of like thrown under the rug in favor for just a bunch of side character stories. They do have importance somewhat, and they do constantly insult the manager about his smell and things like that. But I just like how everything has been implemented. I really enjoy how it's being paced, and I ultimately just like this episode because for the type of episode this easily could have been a disposable episode, but I think it's one of the most important ones just because it's really showcasing our main character and ultimately the manager understanding that he's not going to be able to run away from this girl, even though he's obviously going to continue to try. And I just think the voice actors are killing this series so damn much. Like, I'm really enjoying this. Definitely one of my favorites of the season. And I think even by the time this year wraps up, if this series continues on the quality that it currently is at, I think this is going to be one of my favorites of the year, hands down. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think of this very funny but very charming episode of Love is Like After the Rain? Let me know your thoughts. And before you leave, smack that like button, share your support. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.